So when Christmas strips everything back, your nervous system goes like, what did I used to do around this time of year to calm myself? You feel like you're relapsing because you're thinking about your ex. It isn't longing for your ex. It isn't like anything to do with that. It's just conditioning. Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Coming Up for Air with myself, Lou. I hope we're all okay. Welcome to the last episode of 2025. Isn't that crazy? The last episode of 2025 featuring festive headgear. I did promise festive headgear. If you are a member of my Patreon and you are listening to the single winter series, I will be wearing festive headwear there as well, purely because I'm recording them in the same day, because this week is crazy and my dad has decided that he wants to go shopping today. It's the day before Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve, and my dad wants to go shopping. I'm like, righto, let's go shopping. Rob, come on, let's do this. So I'm being taken, well, I say that I'm being dragged shopping on Christmas Eve. So have you got death wish? I know for a fact that if my mum said to him, do you want to go shopping on Christmas Eve? My dad would be like, no, why are we doing that? Me? He's like, let's go shopping. So it's fine. So recording this in the morning, I'm doing this in the morning, and I decided to wear festive headgear. I think I promised to wear festive headgear. So this is my festive headband. To be fair, I bought this so many years ago and so many people asked to borrow it. My best friend Charles, she loves a festive headgear. She borrowed it, and I think she bought her whole family them to wear on Christmas Day. I think I bought this the year that I hosted Christmas the first time in my house, and I wanted everyone to be festive. Yeah, I did, because I remember having a photo taken next to the island unit, and I've got like the most incredible spread out on the island unit, and just me in a nice Christmas dress with my festive headgear on. I also bought a Happy New Year headband, but I think I've lost the W off of it. I think it's broken. So it just kind of says like Happy New Year. So I should have probably got a new one, to be fair, but there has been so much going on. I swear to God, and I'm probably speaking to quite a few parents on this, well, adding kids into the mix of Christmas is crackers. And I mean, they're not even my own, but just the amount of chaos that the kids bring to Christmas. And I mean, I can log out and I can move away, but they have no idea what is going on, but they know they should be excited. So I think they're just on Prozac 24/7. My nieces and nephews are bouncing off the walls, like literally bouncing off the walls. And it's classic. My mum's got a cough. Which is probably why my dad wants to go shopping, to be fair, but he wants to get out of the house. But, like everyone's starting to get ill, but saying, they'll be fine for Christmas. My dad and my sister this morning, whilst I'm doing this, I said, I've got content to record and podcast episodes to get out. By the way, guys, this episode has taken me about 15 minutes to even start because my phone's going mental, because my brother has put out the orders for starters on the group chat, on the family group chat. So everyone's replying to that. I don't want to miss a phone call. So I've got my phone on loud. Honestly, chaos. Anyway, chaos is what I thrive in. Chaos is what I love. We all know that. So I'm having the best time, but I just think, hats off to all you parents, like wrapping up loads of Christmas presents for the kids. Like, where are you finding time? Are you doing it on Christmas Eve? Do you do it when they go to bed? Like, when do you wrap the presents up? And I forget that I was a kid too, and I just don't even know when my parents did it. They must have done it when we went to bed. But I have got do you know what? It's a funny Christmas this year, because I've obviously been on my own for 4 years. I've spent Christmas on my own for 4 years. I've watched my ex spend Christmas with somebody else for 3 years. And I think, like, people think as time goes on, it gets easier, which it very much does. It does get easier. I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh my God, I'm still dreading Christmas, because I absolutely am not. However, I felt a little bit anxious around this Christmas, and anxiety for a different reason. I felt anxious because I am so aware that I am so okay with being by myself. I have spent the last probably 3 Christmases not really making lots of plans with my friends because I've been like a little bit like, oh, I don't really know how I'm going to feel. And there's always that thing at the back of your mind that's like, what's going to happen this Christmas? Is there going to be an engagement or a baby announcement or like something that's going to like really trigger me? And I've kind of like drank and then like retreated back to my house and been like, I'll go out for X amount of time and then I'll just come home and I'm in my safe space. And I definitely have been doing that for the last couple of years. I've definitely been really conscious about like how many social plans I've been making, not to overwhelm me, and make sure that if I am feeling overwhelmed, I've got somewhere to come back to, somewhere, my safe space to feel safe. This year, I'm anxious because I'm like, I want to be out being social all the time. Like, I want to be a social butterfly all the time. I want to have loads of plans, see loads of people, because I don't feel scared about being by myself. I don't think I'm going to have those periods where I sit down and think, oh, I'm by myself. That's really sad. I don't think I'm going to get there. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I was saying to my sister, I was like, this year I'm really anxious about being by myself. And she was like, why? She was like, just come with us. Like, we can spend Christmas Day with you. We can spend Boxing Day with you. We can spend New Year's Eve with you. Like, why are you anxious? And I was like, no, I'm not anxious about that. I know I've got you guys. I'm anxious about the fact that I want more plans. I actually want plans. I want to see more people. I want to spend time with more people. And that is where I'm at this year. And so, like, I will never forget the day that my mum said, what are you going to talk about on your podcast when you are through your healing and come out of the other side? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, what sort of content are you going to talk about? I was like, the other side. The other side is fantastic. And the other side is like, hey, do you remember when you went through a breakup? Yeah, but like, do you remember when you used to think that not having plans was like the best thing because you could retreat into your own house? Now, the plans are planning. I've got something in my diary every day up until Christmas. And then every day, other than the 28th and the 29th. And here's me saying that I'm not posting an episode next week because I need to put like 110% effort into like the rebrand. I say it's a rebrand. It's not a rebrand, but like the new content that I want to put out next year, and I want to start with like literally hitting the ground running with it. I need to put some time aside to do that. Where am I finding that time? Where's that time coming from? I need Bernard's watch. That's what I need. Like I've just said, I'm not putting an episode out next week. The week after, we will talk about goals. I will open my journal from last year, which is in that cupboard, and read out the goals that I had for 2025. We can set some new goals together and we can talk about everything about 2026. But I obviously need some time off as well. But thank God I have, because I literally have no time to do anything. Where am I recording like 4.5 hours worth of content and then editing it next week? I'm not, which is why I've given myself the time off. So apologies that there won't be an episode on any of my platforms next week. I'm going to keep posting on Instagram purely because if you don't post for a week, it really damages your algorithm. And I am on a new thing where I can use 3 Instagram hashtags, which means my content is well in the hemisphere of Instagram. I think they only open that up to certain creators. I've worked incredibly hard this year to be able to do that. So like, these are the little wins that people like content creators don't really talk about. Sometimes it's not about the following and it's not about like the views. It's actually about Instagram trusting your content. And the fact that I still get 30 to like 50,000 views on things on 3 hashtags is like a huge, huge achievement for me. But I'm going to be talking about my achievements in the next episode, but I didn't want that to be about this episode now. Today, I wanted to talk to you just a general chat that you can kind of listen to over Christmas, because I think there is so much to say on getting through Christmas that sometimes I think like if you actually dissected that and broke that down, it doesn't have to be about getting through Christmas. Like that term kind of puts a really negative spin on Christmas, and you might not be feeling positive, but I just wanted to talk to you about it and talk to you about Christmas and just have a nice little chat, something that you can put on whilst maybe you're going out for a walk on Christmas Eve, going out for a walk on Christmas Day morning. I know I'll be running this year. I am hosting the breakfast for my parents. I'm making a salmon tart. I don't eat salmon, salmon and cream cheese tart. I saw it online and I thought, hey, that looks really great. So I'm going to try and make that. And I don't eat salmon. So I'm not going to know how the tart actually tastes. I also can't eat rolled puff pastry because it's not gluten-free. I could have probably picked up a gluten-free roll of puff pastry and made my own tart. Hey, maybe I'll do that. I love living opposite Morrison's because I can just walk. And I know like the car parks are bedlam, but I can just walk. I'm so excited tonight. So if you've been here since day one, you know that date night Tuesdays, they are still kind of roughly a thing. I do take myself out for a date night. I'm going to go to the gym this evening. I'm going to run and then I'm going to come home and walk to the shops. And I'm going to walk and do the alcohol run. So I need to get 2 bottles of wine and 2 bottles of Prosecco. And I'm going to carry them home. So I'm basically going to do a workout and then do a workout with wine. So maybe when I walk to, I'm thinking about going to Sainsbury's. Maybe when I walk to Sainsbury's, I'll see if they've got some gluten-free rolled puff pastry. This is a great idea. So sorry, that was me thinking completely out loud. So yeah, this episode is just going to be a general chit chat. I've made some notes because I was like, I didn't want this one to be too much on like going into the new year. I wanted this to be more of a reassuring episode. So if you're thinking to yourself, like, I shouldn't be feeling like this anymore. Why do I feel like I'm wobbly again? I was doing better than this a month ago. You are not behind in your healing. You're actually kind of like right on time with everything because this Christmas is going to be difficult for you. However, it doesn't all have to be negative. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. So I'm going to talk about the word relapse. Now, I talk very openly about my relapses and I associate relapses with like drug addicts. I just do, like when they relapse or alcoholism, like you fall back into a bad habit. And so I use relapse in a term that's like, I was fine, got to June, July 2022. And I fell back into some really horrendous habits with my ex in terms of like picking up the phone 24/7, crying down the phone to him, asking to see him, like all the like emotions came flooding back. Now, I've done a timeline with my therapist, and that was because we went to a wedding together in May. I then took my engagement ring off in June. So I was kind of to a relapse and like, don't blame myself. But I think like Christmas is one of those things where, especially like me, if you went through your breakup at the early points of the year, so like mine was in February, you get to December and you think, oh my God, I should not be feeling like this. Why am I still feeling like this? I've been single for 10 months of the year and it's so irritating because people are like, oh, you've been single for 10 months. Christmas would be amazing. First Christmas by yourself. And you're thinking, no, it's not. It's horrendous. You are reminded that you are single 24/7. You look everywhere and you are reminded that you are single 24/7. And this is what I was getting at in my earlier point, that I am not anxious about being single this Christmas in a way that it's like, oh my God, I need to find someone. I'm anxious because I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my God, all my friends are like, got families and getting married and all the rest of it. I don't feel sad about that. I'm like, God, I need to home in on my single friends. I need to pin them down. And that is exactly what I've done. If you could speak to my lad mates who are all single, I have like pinned them down for New Year's Eve and I've gone, I thought I was spending New Year's Eve by myself, but I'm not. I'm spending it with you and you have no choice about that. And they're like, okay. God forbid if they get a girlfriend between now and New Year, I'll be furious. I'm actually spending it with my best friend Josh as well. So it's not like I'm having to spend it with just single people. Literally next year, we are both going to have to get boyfriends at the same time, because if one of us gets a boyfriend and the other one doesn't, one of us is going to be third wheeling at Christmas. It's probably going to be me. I think people use Christmas to almost relapse and you think, oh my God, I've got through all of this and now I'm going to relapse because it's Christmas, because it's a big event that I'm going through for the first time on my own. And it just isn't that. It's not the case of just because it's Christmas. And I think, yes, it triggers romance, nostalgia. Think about the past time with your ex. And I just think about how much I tried to make Christmas special. And yes, he loved Christmas, but he loved Christmas because my family loved Christmas. He loved Christmas and made an effort with Christmas because I think he knew how much it meant to me. He didn't love Christmas like me to the core. It wasn't like he was Mr. Christmas and I was Mrs. Christmas. I was Mrs. Christmas and just had to like train an elf to be excited for Christmas. I say to all my friends all the time, I would not be able to date somebody that hated Christmas. It would be a non-negotiable. If I went on a date with someone and they were like, what's your favorite time of year? And I'd say Christmas. And they're like, oh, I'm not really into Christmas. I'd be like, this has been great, but you are just not for me. Because my family are like, my mum and dad are Mr. and Mrs. Claus and we're all the Santa's helpers 24/7. Like, we literally love Christmas. Like I said, my dad's with my sister this morning cooking Christmas food. It's chaos. My mum's got the kids whilst my brother is preparing starters. I'm going to Sainsbury's to pick up the wine. We're full on at Christmas. And I hope that I would meet somebody whose Christmas reflects that as well. Like, and that their family are huge and that their family are big on Christmas and that they like doing things so we can like have two houses to choose from that celebrate Christmas really, really big. Christmas in general doesn't make you relapse. Christmas interrupts your distractions. And that is what is going on here. It interrupts your work. It interrupts your friends. It interrupts self-improvement. It interrupts you keeping busy. The gym's shut. I mean, you've got the longest treadmill in the world outside, but the gym's shut. Your classes stop. Your friends become busy. You don't have the work distractions. Your work friends are busy. You might not see your work friends outside of work. Christmas removes all that noise and all that distraction. And it's not in a distraction because you're distracting yourself because, you know, you're not healing. It's the distractions that you're doing to keep yourself busy, to continue through your healing journey. And when the noise drops, that little horrible thing in the back of your head, piece of your mind, this Pandora's box that you've shut and locked away with your ex in, comes back and your brain will go searching for familiar emotional regulation. And all of a sudden, you're convincing yourself that Christmas makes you relapse. And it's not that. You can fall back in love with Christmas. Christmas is a hard time of year to get through single. You have to almost make your relationship really robotic. And you have to remember that, yes, there was like a love part of the relationship. But this is going to sound like a really strange analogy, but make your relationship and your past relationship a robot. Like, take away everything fluffy around it and just make it a robot. It is a system and is a way that your nervous system learned how to calm itself. You felt safe around that person. You felt secure. You felt like you didn't have to worry about the unknown. That whole thing of your relationship was a system. So when Christmas strips everything back, your nervous system goes like, what did I used to do around this time of year to calm myself? You feel like you're relapsing because you're thinking about your ex. It isn't longing for your ex. It isn't like anything to do with that. It's just conditioning. And the way that you've conditioned yourself around Christmas is to be with somebody and to feel secure and feel calm. You take that away, you take that person and the system away, your nervous system is like, oh my good God, what am I doing? What do you mean I've got to do this by myself? And you automatically just go back into thinking about your ex and what they're doing. This is 10 times harder when your ex has got into a new relationship. Because I was then thinking, I wonder if he's actually celebrating Christmas with her. I wonder if he's different with her. I wonder if he's thinking, oh, I didn't put that much effort in with Christmas with Lou, so I'm going to learn from that and put extra effort in with this Christmas. And at the time, my first Christmas, I was only 10 months post breakup. I'd only really kind of got back on my feet for probably like a month and a half. It destroys you. And all of a sudden, you feel like you're back at square one and you're not. You are not relapsing. Christmas doesn't make you relapse. I'm here to try and tell you that you do not have to dread Christmas every year. If your breakup came before Christmas, like really close, I know you're probably going to have like associations with Christmas and associate it with your breakup. However, you can work through that as well. And like I said, this is like something that not a lot of people really talk about, because people don't dissect what they say, they just say it. And like I said at the start of the episode, like, you just have to get through Christmas. That is a threat. Like, you are threatening yourself. Trying to just get through Christmas, your brain will see this as a threat. And every single time your brain detects a threat, your nervous system will go into fight or flight. So everything becomes louder. Every memory becomes heavier. Every sort of like moment they're not with you becomes like sharper and so much more. There was somebody standing next to me at the island unit hosting in festive headgear last year. There was a whole 2 families merged together in our kitchen last year. And this will overwhelm you. And so just telling yourself, like, you just have to get through Christmas. Your parents, just get through this year. It's a threat. Your body's going to go into fight or flight. It's not to get through Christmas. The goal is not to get through Christmas. Change the goal. It's experiencing Christmas like completely imperfectly. Like, this Christmas is going to be messy. This Christmas is going to be messy for you. This Christmas is going to be one of those Christmases where you think, I'm probably never going to look back on this Christmas and think, this is a great Christmas. Like, some moments won't feel okay. Some moments will feel okay. Some moments you'll feel like, oh my God, I have not even thought about my ex today. And then you get back into bed and it's like you're overwhelmed again. Like, why are you making the season hard when it is already hard enough? There is constant reminders. Healing isn't measured by consistency. You cannot say that you are healing and then get to Christmas and be like, oh, I'm starting all over again because I've thought about my ex today, or I've cried a bit today because I'm really sad about him not being here or her not being here, and I bumped into so-and-so and they asked how I was and now I feel like I'm back in at square one. It's not about that. Healing appreciates time over consistency. You don't have to consistently like be building and building and building. And I thought about them a little bit less. I thought about them a little bit less. I thought them about a little bit less. If you wobble, you will find that you recenter yourself a lot quicker than maybe you did 2 months ago. Then you're winning. That is healing. Not the fact that 2 months ago you didn't feel like you even thought about your breakup. Well, guess what? Christmas is everywhere. Like, honestly, Christmas is everywhere. And love is everywhere, romance is everywhere. Every single film on Netflix, like, that I was flicking through last night, I was like, oh, I ended up watching Love actually, and I do actually really love that film because I love Hugh Grant. But I was like, God, someone needs to bring out a Christmas film that's just about single people. And in the end, they don't get together. Like, in the end, they just stay single and they just love life. Like, someone needs to bring out one of those Christmas films. Not a Christmas film that's like starts off being like the single woman, and she's confident and all the rest of it. She bumps into a random man and he's single too. Like, boring. Let's change the narrative. Let's just get like 10 single people in a house and like how they party through Christmas. That'd be a sick Christmas film. I'd definitely watch that. But these feelings are uncomfortable, but they are definitely so freeing. They are so freeing. A lot of your Christmas sadness will be not because you lost them. It will be because you know someone hasn't chosen you. I talk about this a lot in my earlier podcast episodes. I know I do, because this is something that like literally was like a hot dagger in my heart and was like twisting and pushing further. Not being chosen is soul destroying. You think that everything is wrong with you, and I think it is heightened then when your ex moves on, because you're like, okay, what have they got? Do they celebrate Christmas better? Do they celebrate Christmas more aligned to them? You go to war with yourself, and it's hard, and it's made harder because it's Christmas. So you're already probably going through a whole massive mental battle with yourself. Believe me, I am a very confident person, and I lost my entire confidence because I was so hooked on the fact that my ex didn't choose me. And I was constantly told throughout my entire relationship, you're too good for me. I don't deserve you. You're this, you're that. His friends, like, oh my God, like, why can't our girlfriends be more like Lou? He would come back and be like, oh, you know, the lads constantly praise you, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, hold on a second. All of that good stuff, yeah, I don't deserve it. So I'm just going to leave you, go with somebody else, but just ensure that, like, I don't deserve you. You're better. You're too good for me. That shouldn't have been somebody else's decision. Had I known what had gone on, that would have been my decision to make. I would have been like, hey, I don't deserve to be treated like that. And this is what I'm doing about it. I shouldn't have been told that someone didn't deserve me and then afterwards told why. That is basically how, like, when I speak to people and people come to me for advice, they're like, how do you deal with like the I don't deserve you? And I'm like, let me tell you, mine was backwards. Like, I don't deserve you. I could not work out why this guy kept saying he didn't deserve me because I didn't know the truth. I didn't know the truth until about 3 to 4 months after he left me. And then I was like, ha, penny drops. That's why you think you don't deserve me. Again, I should have made that decision. That should have been you being honest and me saying, hey, you need to go and find someone that will put up with that because I definitely am not. And that's when I started finding closure. That's when I started finding like comfort in the fact that actually, no, do you know what? He doesn't deserve me. And this is what you need to think. They will be with somebody who is on the same wavelength. And thank God we're not on the same wavelength. That should be a Christmas gift to yourself. If you are struggling with your ex moving on in this Christmas time, just know that like attracts like. So everything that you think, God, okay, that's not a great quality, they will have reflected that in a new partner because they want that validation. So all the stuff that you think they're this, they're that, their new partner's going to be exactly the same. And these are things that you shouldn't be proud of. And these are things that you wouldn't want to stand in a room and be like, hey, I'm this type of person, because everyone would go, okay, that's not something you want to brag about. Anyway, sitting on your own after all of those thought process, that is a big thought process. And sitting on your own after that is uncomfortable. And being chosen at Christmas is one of those things that you don't just kind of drop. You were chosen at Christmas. You were chosen by families. You were chosen by partners. You were chosen in rooms full of people. Like, that version of yourself felt anchored. And now you're chosen by yourself. And that's new. It's very quiet, less dramatic, and it feels unfamiliar and unsafe. And you think this is how it's going to feel forever. But unfamiliar does not mean worse. You are not having the worst Christmas because it looks completely different from last year. You are just having a Christmas that is completely new, and you're like, this is really strange. Starting a new job, you hate the new job for like 2 weeks because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And like, I just kind of like bumbled around my first Christmas and was kind of like a floating just body. My mind was elsewhere. I was just floating around. I was like coming home from places early. I was crying myself to sleep. And I hadn't realised that all of that was normal and wasn't me relapsing. It was just the fact that I was sitting in comfortable spaces at a time of year that I associated with being chosen. And you begin to learn that having confidence without external validation, without having to be chosen, makes you feel calmer. And I saw my friend the other day and I said, look, my phone in the UK is dry. No one texts me. I've got no one to text. No one likes my Instagram stories. I'm just so aggressively single. And I am so okay with that because, like, for the first time in my life, I feel so calm about it. Like, so calm and so, like, confident that, yeah, do you know what? I was thinking, can I go out on Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, the day after Boxing Day? Yeah, I can. Can I be seen in the same places? Yeah, why not? Like, who cares? And I was saying to my friend, like, I don't care anymore. Like, I've put myself online and I've like opened myself up to scrutiny, and that was a choice that I made by myself. However, certain things like I don't talk about online that people do talk about behind my back, and people do pass comment, and it's not very nice. However, I don't care because I have survived something that I thought I would never survive. And I've come out the other side, so much so that this year I'm anxious because I feel like I need more plans. And I am so much more calmer because I actually feel content. And I used to hate that word. It's been overtaken by wholesome. I hate that word. I hate it. I hate the word wholesome. I hate it. Sometimes I think, oh, in my head, how wholesome. And then I think, oh, I hate the word wholesome. If someone described me, in fact, no one would ever describe me as being wholesome because I'm the furthest away from wholesome ever. I've got the biggest heart ever, but no, I'm not wholesome. And if someone says, should we do something wholesome? I'm like, no, let's just do something nice. It doesn't have to be wholesome. But I used to hate the word content because I always used to strive for more in my life. But I genuinely think I am content in my singleness. And you've probably heard me say that a lot, but I think this is the time of year that you'll definitely know whether you are content in being single, because it will regurgitate so much emotion and throw up so emotion. But I genuinely am content and I am confident without any form of external validation. I don't need it from anybody. I don't need somebody to come along and say like, oh, you'll find someone. I know I will. I don't want to. So, and I sit in that feeling a lot. And I've had to like battle with my sisters and my mum because they're like, oh, I just want you to find somebody. And I'm like, I know, and I appreciate that, but maybe I don't want to find somebody yet. I'm still not ready to find somebody. The first 2 quarters of next year might not be around finding somebody. I don't know. That's not because I'm scared. It's because I'm genuinely excited about next year. 2026 is going to be a friggin' massive year for me. And I don't know whether bringing somebody in will just make it 10 times more chaotic. But I think there's certain things that you'll do throughout Christmas that I just wanted to talk to you about because, again, like I said, associating yourself with like relapsing, threatening yourself with like, I just need to get through Christmas. Like, these are all very negative things. And I found myself stalking social media a lot over Christmas. I was waiting for my ex to hard launch his girlfriend, basically, because I knew they were together. I was kind of in the moment of like, okay, well, if he goes up north, I know that they're going to be together, so he may as well just hard launch his girlfriend. That didn't happen. I was checking his social media like a madwoman because I wanted to control the situation. I wanted to know and wanted to be like to everybody. Told you so. And sometimes you just can't predict those situations. And I'm going to normalize this properly now, because this is one thing that I do hate that people will criminalize you for, is checking social media. And again, like I said, everything slows down. And when your brain feels emotionally unoccupied because you're not at work, you're not doing a gym class every other day, you're not going to see your friends, you're not tired from coming in from doing everything that you're doing during the week, it will look for known loops. And you will think that you are longing after them because you are checking their social media, replaying conversations, wondering how they're spending Christmas, like I said, looking at back at like 14 years of bloody tree pictures, thinking, where on earth did we go wrong? And like, you're romanticizing your relationship. That's not you longing after them. That's your brain trying to close a loop. It's trying to close something because you've opened this loop because your brain's not occupied. Everyone says like in between Christmas and New Year, like, what day is it? That's literally like your brain scrambling for routine. So if your brain's scrambling for routine in your everyday life, it's going to scramble for familiarity. It's going to scramble for being able to close something out. And if you didn't get closure, it's going to be 10 times worse. And the way I'm going to put this is that your brain wants like the final thing, especially at Christmas, because it's the end of the year, you're in December, your brain wants closure, it wants completion. You want to be able to leave them in 2025. You want to be able to have that closure that you thought you would get. You want the narrative that you've got in your mind to be true. You want that validation of, like I said, looking for that hard launch photo that never came. My brain was searching for something, and searching and checking their social media does not give you the finality that you think you're going to get. It extends the loop. You are not just looking for information, you're looking for closure. And the worst place you're going to find closure is social media, because it would just continue this loop. Because every day you'll look at it and there won't be anything there. And then you'll look at it again and there won't be anything there. And it will look at it again and there won't be anything there. And you are basically extending this loop. And so instead of fighting the urge, again, punishing yourself, threatening yourself, redirect the function of what you're actually trying to look for, like the closure and the ending and the completion. Give it one deliberately, like actually go out of your way and try and give it one. And what I mean by that is writing something down that is like a final sentence that's like, this chapter does not need new information to be complete. Like, what is looking on their social media going to actually give you? This chapter is complete. You know that chapter of your life is done. So what are you extending it for? What are you looking for? And this does not take willpower. You don't need willpower to do this. You're strong enough as you are. All you need is replacement language. You just need to tell yourself something different and write it down. And when the urge hits that you can send them, you want to write in their username on social media, remind yourself, like, this chapter doesn't need new information. I was bombarded with information throughout the 6 to 8 months after my relationship. New texts, new screenshots, new people coming forward, people that knew certain information and had sat on it for 7 years. People were still coming towards me. I will never forget. It was the September of my best friend turning 30. No, it wasn't. Because for 30th, we went away. It was the year after. It was the September. It was the year after. We were at a pub for his birthday, and the guy that I had not seen for years came in. And he was like, I'm really sorry to hear about you and like your ex, but like you definitely deserved better. You deserved better nearly 10 years ago. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he had more information. And that was a year and a half later. Like, I knew that chapter was done. What was I looking on social media to find? You have to change the language. Stop punishing yourself. You don't need willpower. You don't have to think, I'm not strong enough to do this. No, you might not feel strong enough, but you have got the confidence to tell yourself, I don't need any new information, so what am I looking for? Checking social media at Christmas is really, really, really normal. It's really common, and you just need to know and be armed and equipped with a nice coping mechanism. And like I said, stop punishing yourself, because you're already probably telling yourself you just need to get through this next month. You've threatened yourself. You told yourself that you're going into absolute despair of like relapsing, and you're not doing any of those things. You are basically continuing on your healing journey. You just needed me to remind you of that. So moving on to something that is big, that it's only something really recently that I've like actually sort of like started sitting into, because loneliness at Christmas is big. Loneliness in general when you're single is massive. And I think it's not about being alone. It's about being unmirrored. And loneliness often at Christmas comes from like not being reflected back. And what I mean by this is that no one's witnessed your year. I'm a huge advocate in like, no one has walked in your shoes. You know that. I write it on majority of my Instagram captions, because I got so sick to death of the unsolicited advice of, when I went through a breakup, I didn't handle it like this. Okay, great. I'm not you. When I went through a breakup, I just did this, 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 and this. Also, really great, but you don't have my brain, and you definitely don't have my heart. Well, you know, your ex is doing this, this, and this. You should be doing this, this, and this. How about I should probably just be surviving? And I'm totally okay with that. And you probably shouldn't even have an opinion. Like, the unsolicited advice is so annoying. And that's why I ram down people's throats that like, you do not walk a mile and put someone else's shoes. Because I have obviously had this podcast for nearly 2.5 years. I've posted online for 2.5 years. And I still do not talk about 50% of my breakup, because I physically can't talk about it, because there are things that I'm going through and working through in therapy still now that I never thought would still affect me, because it's actual trauma. And it's not anything to do with, well, obviously it is to do with my ex. It's nothing to do with him as a person. It's to do with the actions and the way that I was left and the reaction that my brain had to certain situations, not anyone else's brain. And imagine if we all had the same brain. No one can stand, sit, or talk at you about how a certain situation should be affecting you. They don't have your brain, they don't have your heart. And so that has taken me a long time to build the confidence up to say to people, like, shut up. And full offense, like, you shouldn't be stood in front of someone telling them how they should have dealt with a situation because they didn't go through that situation. And I think no one talks about this. No one really online empowers people to be able to turn around to people and say, do you know what? Your opinion doesn't mean anything to me, and I actually didn't ask for it. So why are you giving it to me in the first place? And you're not me. And this kind of comes into what I want to talk about now, that like nobody witnessed your year. No one has witnessed your growth. No one has witnessed your survival. No one has witnessed your quiet wins. That doesn't mean that you were unseen. It means that you are sitting in a chapter at the moment where self-recognition matters more than acknowledgement and external acknowledgement. You don't need somebody to say, well done. I used to think that you needed somebody to say, like, well done. I was very loud about my achievements. I was very loud about like everything. And I sometimes post about my stats on Instagram and TikTok and stuff, but I don't ever really like share them and like share my growth. I have grown so much this year on social media. This was a year of growth. I'm sure if I went back to one of my first early 2025 episodes, I'd say that no distractions this year. This is my year of growth. I have achieved above and beyond what I set out myself to do. And not many people have witnessed that. And that's because I've sat in chapters before where no one witnessed how I had to get out of bed every day and make phone calls to my ex to actually earn a living to pay for my house. No one witnessed the days where I'd been in bed for 3 days and then the fourth day I got out of bed and was able to put a hairbrush through my hair and actually have a shower. Those are things that are so difficult. Oh my God, why am I getting emotional? Those are things that are so difficult to go back to. Those moments are so difficult to go back to because you then don't go to your parents' house or go onto social media. Hey, I've been in the trenches for the last 3 days. I really just need some validation because I made it out of bed like on the fourth day and I feel okay today. You celebrate those wins quietly by yourself and you think, fucking hell, well done. Like, you've taken a beating for the past week and a half. And no one's there to like pat you on the back. And I think that's where the confidence and the boost of confidence comes from, because you're the one there saying, fucking well done, like fair play, like, you actually left the house today. And that's what I mean, that like you are sat in a chapter that like self-recognition matters so much more, because those are like the hardest times that you go through. And then the list of things that I've just reeled off there, and the growth on my socials and the growth on this platform that I'm creating, like I don't need somebody to be like, well done. I don't need to screenshot my growth and send it to someone and be like, hey, look how good I'm doing, because I patted myself on the back on the days that I didn't want to tell anybody what my wins were. So like I then don't need that now, and it's made me a hell of a lot more confident person. And so I want you to, at some point over Christmas, write down everything that you handled by yourself this year and everything that no one knew about and no one clapped for, because this is your proof that you've not lost this relationship and collapsed. You've adapted, and that is what you're doing this Christmas. You are adapting to the hand of cards that you have been dealt. You are adapting to all of these new things, and not a lot of people really talk about that. And so this list, you can literally write down anything, like signing up to HelloFresh, actually eating something other than pasta and cheese. You know all of my things. I share all of these things with you. I think it's one of those exercises where you think, no fucking way. Like, I've not been to Dubai 7 times this year. I've not bought a really expensive car. I've not bought a really expensive house. But I tell you something now, all of those things that come in your future will never be as hard hitting as all those little things that weren't little, and I have just put that in inverted commas, all those things, like I've just got upset talking about being able to get out of bed, I can go back to some of the darkest times in my life and them completely shake how I feel. And those are the things that will appear on the list this year, and they will be the biggest things that you ever conquer in your whole life. I know they will be. And I just wanted to end on the fact that, like this Christmas song says, it's the most wonderful time of year. Christmas brings so much magic to people's houses, and like we're on like magic 10 times 1,000 million because of the kids, and like it just makes it so much more magical. I don't care about getting presents this year, even though my dad's taking me shopping today. I honestly, I don't care. Seeing the kids open their Christmas presents on Christmas morning, I'm like, oh my God, I could cry. I am that auntie that like sits there with a tissue, like so emotional. Christmas as an adult doesn't have to feel magical. Christmas this year doesn't have to feel magical. It can just be you feeling safe in your own comfort. You're not failing because you haven't got somebody at Christmas. Being able to sit and be like, do you know what? I'm actually okay. This is fine. Like I feel all right today. I feel like I can sit with my family and have a conversation. And I could have sat here and given you tips on not to drink too much and when to leave the thing early and what to come home and journal. And I didn't want this episode to be like that. I wanted this episode to be encouraging, that you are totally okay and within your rights to struggle this Christmas. However, the days that you stand up and you think, I actually feel okay in this moment right now, that is what your Christmas magic is about. That little glimmer of, I actually feel all right this morning. Do you know what? I'm actually going to have breakfast. I've not eaten for 3 days. That is you regulating your nervous system. And obviously you've got the magic at Christmas for when you were a child, and you want, again, like I said, you want everything to be consistent. You don't want 1 year to struggle. You don't want 2 years like of Christmas to struggle. And like I said, the first year I was okay-ish because I was distracted by hosting. The second year, oh my God, if you cut me open, my blood would have been wine. I drank so much. And Christmas definitely hit me in 2023 harder than it did in 2022. And I always thought, get through this year because you've threatened yourself. Just got to get through Christmas. You get to next year and you still might feel like you haven't healed. I definitely hadn't. I definitely didn't. I'd gone from being a housewife 1 year to hosting the next, to living in a house that wasn't big enough to host. I'd lost my completely. And that was like the nail in the coffin was, what, like, well, who the fuck am I? Like, where's my identity gone? Because I'm not doing stuff that I'm used to. And so you have to give yourself grace. The magic can come with you looking at yourself in the mirror and being like, I feel all right today. Christmas doesn't feel overwhelming. And if those moments don't come, they don't come. Please don't sit and beat yourself up about them, because they will come. And I think it's really important to just remember that, like, you haven't lost anything this year. You outgrew something that couldn't come with you. And I don't mean that in a way that, like, obviously I was left. There's not any part of me that used to think, God, we outgrew each other. We didn't. You outgrew that relationship without even realizing. The universe turned around and went, no, not for you. And if you are signed up to my Patreon and you are listening to my Single Winter series, I talk about manifesting. And I talk about the fact that people always turn around to me and say, Lou, if the universe had your back, why on earth did you go through such an awful breakup? If I hadn't learned everything that I'd learned in the last 3 years, I would not be on the path that I am now. And the path that I'm on now is a path that I am so grateful that I'm on. It was a path that I dreamt of being on before I met my ex. I knew exactly who I wanted to be when I was 14. I knew exactly who I wanted to be when I was 16, 18, 20, 25. And then my identity changed into being someone's girlfriend and someone's wife. And now when people say to me like, oh my God, your breakup made you this person, I always say, no, it didn't. I just lost myself in my relationship. I outgrew something that I would never have been strong enough to leave. This Christmas might not be what you think it should be for you this year. It's going to be quieter. But in the quiet moments, that's when your strength is built. And I got emotional thinking back on some moments throughout, like, my breakup that really, really tested me. And I get upset because I think, God, only I pulled myself through those moments. And I'm the only one that sat there and like had written down on a piece of paper, what doesn't kill you will actually make you stronger. You are not in any danger. There is not a threat here now. I'm the one that was jumping in and out of cold showers every other day because I was having a panic attack about some other information that I'd been told, or my ex acting in a certain way that like was just making my nervous system just literally be all over the place. You are the only person that is doing that. And if you do anything this Christmas, I want you to make that list, and I really want you to analyze it. And I really want you to really, really think into all the things that you have achieved this year that people would not know about. And I want you to sit and I want you to be proud of yourself. So that's it for 2025 for coming up for air, which is wild. I have a new screen coming, which means I can record in 4K, which means my quality of my videos next year are going to be epic. If you need any additional support, you know where to find it. You can head on to my Patreon, where I do the single winter series. I've got over 130 other episodes over there. You can also purchase my no contact guide over there, which is available and is still available and will always be available. If no contact is something that you are thinking about doing in the new year, please head on over to my Stan store. The link is in all of my bios of everything. If you can't find it on my podcast, and just head on over to my Instagram. The link's literally in my bio. You can click on that and it will take you to every single thing that you may need. Have a lovely Christmas. Wishing you all a happy new year. I am so grateful that you are here. I have got a whole speech prepared for my 2026 episode back with how grateful I have been to have you guys this year. And just remember, it's just one Christmas and you do not have to leave anything in 2025 that you don't want to leave in 2025. Look after yourself, guys. Definitely celebrate like Lou. Have a few too many drinks. Send me pictures of yourself, cheersing to yourself, cheersing to your strength this year. And I will speak to you all in 2026. Look after yourself. Bye.